Hi everybody, Todd here. I was watching a video the other day that Kevin had posted with Antonia Dorman, and it kind of got me fired up a little bit. Um, he was talking about how, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and everything, and the way grocery prices are and food prices and all that, and he is true, telling the truth there. Um, I've always thought this pretty much all my life as I got older. You don't think about it till you get into probably your 30s or so. But you know, if you think about it, I think the government and our states want us to be dependent on them. You live paycheck to paycheck. You get your paycheck. You don't have any money left, because you got your utility bills and everything else, car insurance, all that stuff. Well, you think about it. You pay federal income tax, you pay state income tax, you pay personal property tax, then you got real estate tax. It's like everything you buy, you pay taxes on. Well, then you pay taxes on it every year after that, you know, just to the states and to the governments. Why do we have to keep doing that? Why do we have to keep paying taxes on top of taxes that we've already paid for the same, piece of property? It just doesn't make any sense, other than, the government wants us dependent on them. States want us dependent on them. I've never understood it. And then you buy a piece of property, you can't do nothing with it that you want to. The state says, well, you can do this or you can do that. You got to have this permit or you got to have that permit. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. And, it's been that way all of our lives. So, what do we do about it? Is there anything we can do about it? Who knows? The only thing we can do is put people in office that is going to work for us. The problem is they get in there, they start working for lobbyists. They change their whole demeanor about whatever, they're supposed to be doing for the people, that voted them in office. And then, they got 2-year terms, 4-year terms, 6-year terms, whatever the terms are. It, there's no stopping it. So what do we do? Is it time for Americans to stand up? Stop all this? I don't know. All I know is if we keep going like we are, our kids are going to be very much in trouble. I just, I'm at a standstill myself. I mean, you work all your life, you pay into disability, and then, Lord forbid, something happens like it did with me. You end up on disability, and they say, well, you can only make this certain amount of money, by what you've made over the years. Well, what I've made over the years and what I've paid into you all, the government, it doesn't add up. You're paying into them, and they're making interest off of your money, but yet they don't tell you that they're blowing your money, just burning it up, doing what they want to do with it, which is supposed to be in there for when we get older. Just think about how many people that have retired that within a week, a month, whatever, have passed away just from an illness or something, or Lord forbid, an automobile accident or whatever. Some don't even see retirement, but they've paid in all that money all those years. And, you can't tell me that they don't have the money. They got it. They just are trying to hold on to it. Or, like here lately with all the fraud and abuse in Michigan and California and Minnesota, wherever, um, you know, illegals are getting our Social Security that we should be getting. They're driving in Mercedes Benzes and Lamborghinis and Porsches and high dollar end vehicles that we can't even afford. So, we've worked all our lives and still couldn't afford it, most of us. It just depends on what kind of job you've had and what you've done over the years. So, Antonio is in our school, and I am so high-heartedly with him on this situation. You go to the grocery store just like I went, a couple weeks ago, bought like, I think 5 grocery bags full of stuff, and I didn't even buy meat. I mean, I was just buying the utensils that I needed. And, here it is. I'm $180 in the hole for 4 or 5 bags of groceries. It shouldn't be like that. Gas prices. Oh, this is a good one that gets me. Gas prices are high because we're in a war. Well, don't we produce our own oil? Aren't we selling oil to them? We make our own gas. Why are we paying high gas prices? High diesel prices. The higher your diesel prices are, the higher your groceries are going to be. You got these big tractor trailers out here that run off of diesel. They're the ones hauling your groceries around. So, why are our fuel prices so high? It just, oh my, it just tears me up. Yet they're going to tell you, well, it's because of fertilizer, it's because of this, it's because of that. Well, I can remember back when I was young, fertilizer, yeah, they did have fertilizer. Some farmers did use it, very little. I said, but, they use it, their animal manure for fertilizer. They put it back on their fields. They put it back on their crops, plowed it in, tilled it in, disted it in, whatever. I mean, so, the prices are high because they want them to be high. They want us dependent on them. So, that's kind of about all I got to say on this for right now. But, I just had to get on here and do my little rant too, because it just kind of put a fire under me to talk about this. And, I've been this way for, a long while about this rant, and I figured it's time to put it out there too. So Antonio Dorman, thank you. Thank you for being in our school and, getting a fire under me, as I'm sure it's going to get a fire under a lot of other people too, because you have good videos out there and keep them coming. Kevin, thank you for having this common sense method of schooling. And I'm hoping other people will join us in this in our school if they want to learn how to do YouTube, if they don't know how or want to learn better ways of doing it. Because, man, I like what you're putting out there, and don't ever stop, Kevin. I mean, you're helping us a lot. And I know a lot of other members that are in our school would go along with me on this. So keep it coming, Kevin. Do your bragging. I don't care what you want to call it. To me, it's teaching. So keep it coming. Keep it coming. So everybody, I will put a link down, a referral link for the school of Common Sense Method. And if you join, we would greatly appreciate you to our school. And it's a free course to start out, 7-day free course, you know. But after that, it's like $9 a month, which most of us throw away or burn. So, you know, please join the school. You know, use my referral link to get you into the school, and you can make money from that. You know, you join the school, you can refer other people, you can, you know, make money off of them joining under your referral link. So, you know, come join our school. I think you will really like it. And that'll be all for today. Thank you. Bye.